Welcome to All Things Mental Health, where we literally talk about all things mental health. So, in today's episode, and yes, I am adjusting because I'm getting comfortable. In today's episode, we are going to be talking about five ways to deal with generalized anxiety disorder. So, if it is something that you have been diagnosed with, or if it's just something that you feel like you struggle with, right? Like you're the person that's a little high strung, you're the person that everybody knows, like, ooh, okay. Then hopefully you can incorporate these tips into your life so that you can get better, because that's the entire point of this channel, is to talk about all things mental health, because sometimes people just are not aware. They don't have the information. They have information that's not correct. They don't understand that like some of the things that they may be struggling with are not normal. And then if you're like me, if you're a person of color, whatever color that might be, we just don't always have the same experience as our counterparts in terms of mental health. So hopefully I am able to bridge that gap in some way. Anyway, because I feel like that was just a lot. 5 healthy ways to deal with generalized anxiety disorder. So a big symptom of GAD is that your brain just literally does not shut off. It's always working. It's always an overdraft, right? It's just doing entirely too much. So one way to combat that is by meditating. And when I was working like in the mental health profession actively, one of the things that people would often say is, if my brain can't shut off, if I can't shut it off, why would you tell me to meditate? Why would you tell me to do something that requires me to be quiet, that requires my brain to slow down? The best way that I can describe it is kind of like learning how to tie your shoe, right? Like, it's important because it prevents you from falling in XYZ. But the first time you do it, you don't get it right. The second, third, fourth time you do it, you start to get a little bit better, but you still may have some frustrating moments along the way. Meditation is no different, but I promise you, it is the antidote for a brain that does not shut off. So I really encourage you guys to engage in meditation. It doesn't matter if it's scripted, if it's guided. Doesn't matter if it's to lo-fi music. It doesn't matter if it is to worship music, right? Like, just meditate. I promise you, it is going to make a difference. The second thing that you can do to deal with generalized anxiety disorder is to journal. Okay, if your brain never shuts off, if you're hyper vigilant about everything, if you're always worried, you need a safe space for all of that to go. And newsflash, that's not always your girlfriends. That's not always your romantic partner. Like, if you have a therapist, that's great. That's what you pay them for. You pay them to talk about what is bothering you. But you don't pay anybody else in your life for that. And nobody wants to hear that all the time. Yes, your support system is there for you, but they can't be your dumping grounds. And if you start to realize that that's what's happening, right? Like, if people are used to answer all the time and now like they answer every other time, like sometimes it's because you do too much. It's because you're dumping on them, and that's not their job to take that, right? So I'm gonna really encourage you to journal if you struggle with generalized anxiety disorder. The third thing is you need to create and implement routines. So when you have generalized anxiety disorder, you are always worked up. You're always worked up. Like, you just cannot help it. It is just chemicals in your brain that just kind of misfire, and it causes you to always be excessively worried, XYZ. So an amazing way to combat that is having a schedule. And if you need to be rigid with it, then great, be rigid. I'm not like that. Like, I don't require things to be rigid, but I do need to know that, okay, I go to Pilates on these days. And then I can organize my day around the fact that I know at 5 o'clock I'm going to go to Pilates. So when I wake up that day, I already have my exercise clothes like pulled out already. I already made sure that I booked my class on the app, because I know that that's something I'm going to do on said day. That's what creating and implementing a routine looks like. Another tip, sleep. Sleep. So when you struggle with generalized anxiety disorder, your sleep can be, everywhere. You can get none at all because your brain won't shut off. Hardly ever do you get too much sleep when you struggle with generalized anxiety disorder. But just FYI, right? The average adult needs about 7 to 9 hours of sleep to function properly, right? So make sure that that's something you're doing. And you also need to make sure that you create a healthy sleep routine. That's important. So, what are you doing before you lay down for the night or day if you work overnight? What are you doing? Are you setting and cultivating an environment that is letting your brain and your body know, hey, it is about time to wind down? The last one, log off. Okay, sometimes when you already struggle with generalized anxiety disorder, the last thing that you need is to further feel worked up. That is not going to help you. That is going to make things so much worse. So every now and then, you need to log off. You need to disconnect. You need to not be on. You don't have to be everywhere all the time, all out in the social media streets. Like, you need to make sure that you're okay in real life. And sometimes it is just as simple as I'm going to log off for a week. I'm going to log off for a couple of days. If it is a matter of a source of income for you, then you need schedule, right? Routines and creating systems will help you. So those are just 5 different tips that you can do when you struggle with generalized anxiety disorder. I really hope that they are helpful. Let me know in the comments what are some different strategies that you found that work for you. Until next time, be kind to yourself and love on yourself, okay? And make sure you subscribe.